Okay, today we're going to show you how to install the American Carcraft mudguards for the 2012-2016 Raptor. We're pretty proud of this kit. It's a very stout 16 gauge stainless steel. We put a nice carbon fiber finish on the outside, give it that kind of that roughneck look. Inside actually has a very durable ABS plastic liner. This is going to protect the mudguard from getting dents and dings from rocks and stuff. It's a very stout piece of accessory. This is a lot thicker than most trucks' fenders metal to begin with. So these are also reinforced with a bracket. So this is not just strictly cosmetic. This is actually a very functional mudguard. You can take this four-wheel in or do your sand dune in, and you can expect this is going to hold up just as good as the rest of the truck. So there's a few things that we're going to need to do. Very easy to install. The front mudguard only has these 6 screws, and those are going to go into predominantly the factory hole locations. Okay. In order to do this installation, you're going to need a few tools. You're going to need a ratchet, 10mm socket, 7mm socket, scratch awl. This is going to help you to center your clip nuts for your hardware, 9/64 drill bit, and a screw gun. Now, this tool that we're going to use here is a separator tool. You can find this in just about any auto parts store. They're not expensive, $5, $6, $7, and it's a great tool to have in your toolbox. So what we're going to do is set the car up to receive the mudguard. So come on. Factory has these little push-in retainers that hold the fender flare in. Very easy to remove. What we're going to do is take our tool and kind of just slip it in between here like so. And what this will do is it'll allow you to remove that pretty painlessly and very easily. Just like that. So what you're going to do is take these 2 out. There's only 2 that you need to remove on the front. We'll go ahead and get that other one. You're going to take 2 of your number 10 screws, and what we're going to do is slip this clip nut over that hole. You're going to line up that clip nut using your little scratch awl. So you separate this, put the threaded side out, and what you're going to do is just kind of slip it right over the rim of the fender. Just like that. And just make sure that your hole is lined up. Okay, now that's ready to receive the mudguard. I'm going to go ahead and put the other one in. Give yourself a little widening there, and then we'll slip that on. Like this. Okay. Now there's one bolt that we're going to borrow from the truck underneath, and you'll use your 10mm socket, and you'll kind of run down underneath the car of the truck, and you'll see this one exposed bolt here. We're going to borrow that for our installation, so we'll just pull this out and we're going to put it back in just a few minutes. Okay, now we're actually ready to go ahead and move to the mudguard. Now, these mudguards are pretty heavy duty, so we're going to bend them for you. However, you really want to make sure you tweak the shape and make sure you got the contour of the wheel well perfectly. You don't want the screw to have to force this into your fender. So you want to make sure that you're shaped pretty good. You see, this is shaped pretty decent. So You know, if you do have to shape it, it's just something you just got to manhandle and make sure that you got that contour right. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start putting this in. I'm going to start with this middle hole. Go ahead and take this liner off. Okay, and then go ahead and discover our hole here. You don't really want to tighten this all up yet. Let's get all the screws in and everything positioned and everything lined up, and then we'll snug them all down. The heel of the Mudguard needs a little extra support. We're going to ask you to drill a couple of holes here. Now, the fender is fiberglass. It's not really all that stout, so we need to go through the fender and through the fiberglass fender into the steel that actually the fender mounts to. So what we're going to do is this hole right here, we're going to ask you to take a drill, a 9/64 drill, and just pilot a hole. You're going to take your loose screw, it's the one without the clip nut, and we're just going to fasten it in. We're going to install our support bracket. This is very important. This is going to keep this hunk of metal nice and supported to the vehicle, and also it's going to give it a kind of really cool look. Now, what you're going to do to mount this is go back to your factory bolt that we took out earlier and reinstall it. And we're just going to go ahead. Now remember, again, we're going to leave this a little bit loose till we get everything lined up. See, the two remaining shorter screws is what we're going to mount this bracket to the Mudguard. So what you do is you line up the holes. Okay, and go ahead and put your clip nut on. These don't really clip into anything. We like to use the clip nut because it maintains a certain amount of tension on the screw, and makes it a pretty stout connection where you're not going to have to worry about, you know, it falling out. You want to just kind of put these in like so. Okay. Okay, now that all this is lined up, everything is pretty much where it's going to go, we can go ahead and tighten everything down. This area here, we're going to need to steel or create some support. And like I said, that the fiberglass fender really is not a good thing to just do a sheet metal hole into. So what we figured out is that right at the base of this corner, there's actually a lot of structure in the fender itself. And what we're going to do is pilot a hole. We're going to go not just through the surface of the fender, but actually into the substructure inside. And then we're going to use this longer screw. Okay, and this is long enough to go into the substructure, and we're going to take this flat nut and we're going to put it on inside. What we have to do that is open the door. You have plenty of access to the screw. So right now we're just going to drill our pilot hole. Okay, and we're going to put our screw in, and you'll see that the screw, see, it's just not strong enough. The fiberglass is not strong enough to support the screw. So what we're going to do is open the door, go on the other side of that screw with your clip nut, and then you'll see that it'll support it very well, actually. Now that we've got our screw, you're going to reach in here and you'll feel the actual head of the screw just piercing the inner substructure of the fender. So what you're going to do, now that you're kind of aware where it's at, you'll go ahead and push this up and take your flat nut, put it over the head, and go ahead and tighten it up. You see that's nice and stiff now. That's about as easy as that is to put in the front fender, the front mudguard. The rear mudguard goes in just about the same way, a couple of little different things, and we'll get right over to it and show you. So now we're going to prep the rear fender flare to receive the mudguard. We're going to ask you to remove these 3 retainers. We're going to do the same thing that we did the front. We're going to put clip nuts in there. Now this guard here kind of shields us from actually clipping this on from front. So what we're going to do is sneak up underneath the car and then set our 3 clip nuts. This one you can get, but the 2 down here we're going to have to do from underneath the car. Secondly, we're going to use the factory screw here. This is a support brace that comes and supports this plastic inner well. So we're going to take that out using a 7mm ratchet. Now just keep this handy because we're going to use that again. And let's go ahead and take out these clips. Retainers actually. And just those 3. Okay. Now we're going to set in our 3 clip nuts. 1, 2, 3. And again, a lot of times these will come and they'll just be really tight. So you're just going to want to spread them a little. Just like that. So it just makes it easier for it to go on. The fender itself is relatively thick, so just want to do this. Just takes a second. Now we're going to go ahead and slip this. Make sure that your thread is on the outside. You're going to slip this over that fender like that. Make sure that's lined up. Okay. And then these 2 guys we got to get from underneath. So let's head down there. We're just going to take our clip nut and position them right at those 2 locations. And then we're going to use our awl to make sure we're lined up good. Okay, now we're all set. This is the factory clip I was explaining in the bracket. It's an excellent support bracket for the new mudguard. Okay, we'll go to the outside. Center hole once again. Figure this in. Okay, let's get that top screw. Once you have everything tightened up, you can go ahead and just, all lined up, and just go ahead and tighten everything. Okay. Now that mudguard is really attached to the body. This goes in exactly the same as the front, so we'll go ahead and thumb those screws in with the 2 remaining clip nuts. Now these, you just go ahead and tighten up. Great tool to get into these tight areas when you have oversized tire, is this kind of right angle ratcheting screwdriver. You can find this just about any auto parts store. In fact, this really neat kit costs about 12 bucks. So getting in there in areas like this makes it pretty easy. Okay. Now, the remaining hardware is your 2 6mm bolts. These have 10 millimeter caps that go on it like that. So we're just going to go ahead and snug these babies in. We're going to utilize factory holes and sneak around with our clip nut. Just going to put this baby in here. We've supplied these cool little 10 millimeter bolt caps. So you're just going to kind of tap those on. And that finishes the entire installation.